may remember a few months ago when 3 pro-Palestinian protesters were arrested after wearing pictures of paragliders on their coats, which appeared to suggest an endorsement of the brutal Hamas terrorists that had recently broken into Israel and massacred 1,200 Israelis. Well, it is interesting that these 3 protesters were sentenced today and handed a 12-month conditional discharge, which is hardly a slap on the wrist, with the judge opting not to punish the defendants in any proper way. We thought there were some very interesting questions about this judge, one Tanwir Ikram, CBE, commander of the most excellent order of the British Empire. It emerged he liked a post on LinkedIn that read, "Free, free Palestine to the Israel terrorist, both in the UK, the US, and of course Israel. You can run, you can bomb, but you cannot hide justice." Well, GB News asked the judge in question. He's not really a judge. He's a district judge, which used to be called a stipendiary magistrate, and judge is an over-promoted title of a Blairite kind, came in 2000. So we reached out to the stipendiary magistrate in question, and a press officer of the Courts and Tribunals Judiciary has spoken to the judge and said it was a genuine mistake, and he did not know he had liked the post. Well, with me now is my panel, former editor of The Sun, Kelvin Mackenzie, and veteran human rights campaigner Peter Tatchell. So, Kelvin, put yourself in the position of a magistrate.
Beyond shocking.
And somebody comes in front of you and says, that post was liked, but I didn't mean to do it. Mm-hmm. Would you believe that, or would you think that was stretching credulity?
He's saying this because he's in deep doo-doo. A lot of people felt very angry about those ladies being freed, one of whom, according to the Daily Mail, actually had fled Gaza because she didn't like Hamas, and then this is the way she repays her new homeland. That judge puts a question mark against almost every judge in the country now, who must be saying to themselves, why on earth would he do that? And he would only do that, I presume, because he believed it. He now turns round when he has this spotlight put on him in exactly the same way as our friend Mr. Ali in Rochdale, when, thanks to the Mail on Sunday, they poured the spotlight on what he said. He then turns around and said, oh, I'm terribly sorry, I didn't mean it. This guy says, I didn't understand what like really looked like. What a ridiculous suggestion. I'm appalled at this judge, because what it means that almost every judge everywhere now will be saying, why did he do that?
But Peter, people do make mistakes. He could have made an honest mistake. Is it likely?
It's probably stretching it, but I think we do have to give him the benefit of the doubt. But
you're a very kind man.
The overall principle is that judges have to be politically neutral. We cannot have the justice system run by people with particular points of political view where it may influence their judgment in cases like this. Judges have to be neutral.
And I also think it's a mistake, I know I mentioned it in the introduction, to have changed the title of stipendiary magistrates, because you knew a magistrate was of a lower standing than a judge. A judge is a title for somebody who is very senior and very experienced. And Kelvin's point that this has undermined judges is quite worrying, because we don't want to undermine judges.
The other question is, how many other judges have this kind of view, right? I mean, I just don't know anymore. There is a lot about our society involving religion coming into it, which I find extremely puzzling, and I find it very upsetting. And I don't believe that judge should be allowed to sit in judgment of anybody under any circumstances until this is fully resolved. And I don't quite agree with you about the stipendiary magistrate. Okay. They are in my experience of covering courts, hugely intelligent and sit above lay magistrates. These are people who have a substantive legal knowledge, and he has to explain how he made the mistake. What is it he thought he was doing when he clicked it? What was he doing? Was this something else he should have clicked, which said he's upset about car insurance prices going up? It's nonsense.
It is possible to make mistakes online, isn't it?
It is possible. What? When you come from his background and this thought process? I don't think so. I don't know. Let him come on your show and explain to people who are very agitated, because lots of people didn't like that judgment either. That judgment, these people had horrendous things as photographs, and all they got was slap on the wrist.
Discharge is nothing.
It is nothing. It is nothing, and he made it quite clear he didn't want to it to be anything either.
All right. Well, I think Peter's point that he may have made an honest mistake is something that in charity one should consider at any rate.